Acknowledge all member councillors and, of course, the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Donna Gates, and our Deputy Chair, Councillor Balden Lumsden. Good to have you here as well. We've got an action-packed agenda today. Action-packed agenda. We're dealing with some substantive issues. I don't propose starring 6.3 because it's an issue that's dear to my heart, and I think that's worth moving separately. 6.2, again, dear to the hearts of many in this chamber. It is an issue that's been prosecuted already through the media, and we've had lots of reports on it. Did anyone have a desire to ask questions or have a presentation on 6.2? We're happy to start that. Okay, great. So we'll start that. Wonderful. All right, I have no apologies forwarded to me. Councillors, are you aware of any? No. No leaves of absence. We'll confirm the minutes in the next step. Would someone like to move that the minutes be noted as a true and accurate record? Councillor Tozer, do I have a seconder? Councillor Gates, I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? That is carried. Wonderful. Councillors, any conflicts of interest to note? You don't like flying foxes? No, they drive you a bit batty? Yes, yes. I could carry on. So no conflicts of interest, so we don't need to deal with that. The start items are 5.1, 6.1 and 6.2. Would someone like to move those items? Councillor Gates, seconded Councillor Lacastre. I'll put that to a vote. All those in favour? All those against? That is carried. Councillors, 6.3. Happy to invite some questions, but I will note that I'll move that if we have a seconder. Yeah, no worries. So that'll be moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Gates. Councillor Gates, you had a question?
Yes, I did, Chairman.
So we might just, give Dr Tim a second. I'm sure he's eager to respond. Thanks, Councillor Gates.
Okay, I noticed on the attachment that it was proposed to require joint funding from private landowners for the work associated with Upper Coomera. I wanted to know if any other area that has been addressed has required funding from a private landowner.
Dr Tim.
Can I take that as a question on those? I might have to come back to you. There probably is another one that we've done, but it is
the problem that I have with it is that the roosts are all the way along Heathwood Drive, which is a street abutting the M1, and the state has land along that section. There's a very large unit development, and they're impacted by it. All of the residents there, and I'm loath to support something that I've seconded the motion, but I would like to have better information about the area of private funding and why in doing this, which is a great improvement on what we were able to do previously. But when the flying foxes are protected, I truly don't see the relevance of requiring private contribution from private landowners. So I'd like to have more information on that.
Chair, Councillor Gates, the only time we request that is if they're doing works on their own private property and, consistent with the Local Government Act, where without a council resolution, we don't typically do work on private property. We have done significant work in the past at Catalina. They were some of the most impacted residents in the city, and we've cleared to the greatest extent possible we can on Council Park.
Okay, so I accept that we would not do work on private property, but the way that this is worded with joint efforts and funding by private landowners, it doesn't actually refer to the work that they might do on private property. I accept that, but I would like it to be clear that there's no other contribution being sought from the private landowners other than the work on their own property.
Absolutely not. We can we can revise that wording to make that clearer.
Appreciate it.
Happy days. Some good work there, Deputy Mayor. Look, councillors, what I might do is move the motion, talk very briefly to it, and then invite any further contributions or dissent on the topic. Councillors, although it's not referred to in the body of the report, you may recall that I think Councillor Caldwell and myself moved and seconded a general business item calling for a fresh look at the way that flying fox roosts are managed in the city. And our desire there was not to necessarily abolish bats from the city, but instead to find a way to pragmatically ensure that roosts are supported, but not in inappropriate ways that jeopardise health outcomes and amenity outcomes for residents. And one of the concerns that we discussed at that committee meeting was that it felt the city was often caught flat-footed because there would be emerging very serious amenity and health issues cropping up in suburbia, but our city officers were not necessarily equipped with a statement of management intent for flying foxes that was current and therefore fit for purpose. So as a consequence of our general business item, which was raised in the light of community feedback, city officers were given a task of updating our approach to managing roosts in the city. And can I just applaud the city officers who responded to that general business item, because they've genuinely taken a root and branch look at this issue, and they've had a look at the way that other local governments have changed their approaches over a number of years. And in my view, we've landed on possibly the best approach in South East Queensland, if not in Queensland. And one of the features of our new approach is it now affords city officers an opportunity to annually review the way in which individual roosts are managed and then to affect management of those roosts. So in other words, no longer will we have a plan that was endorsed 5 years ago and it's sat on a shelf for 5 years and doesn't afford us the ability to respond to an emerging issue. City officers will now have the capacity to keep monitoring these roosts and to prepare a course of action that allows us to get on top of small issues before they become costly, larger issues. And I just want to thank all city officers involved in this project because it's involved a lot of ground truthing, and that's afforded us as a council a lot of new intelligence about where amenity issues have existed. So thanks to you, Director, and to your team, Dr. Tim and others. Thank you so much for this body of work. And I'm confident that over the next 12 months, we'll have an opportunity to use this new plan to gather further intelligence and, I suppose, prioritise the schedule of works to ensure that both humans and bats are good neighbours to one another, and hopefully we can live in a bit of peace and quiet, which I know is important in our highly urbanised centres. So thank you for that. Councillors, were there any speakers against the motion? No? Anyone wish to make a further contribution? No, I'll put that to a vote then. All those in favour? All those against? That is carried unanimously. Councillors, any general business items? No, I'm happy to close the meeting. Oh, yeah, close the meeting now. I was going, well, we didn't do the special entertainment thing. We did. Close the meeting at 1:10 past. Thank you.